Hello and welcome to a video where I take a quick look on how I combined a SH Figuarts Bodycon with a Legend Rider series soft vinyl figure to make Kamen Rider Kabuki in this sort of SH Figuarts form. I'm not going to talk too much about the Bodycon here. I've done a video on these guys before. You just look in the description below or search around my YouTube channel. You see I got this for $165, which is a very reasonable price for one of these. Don't pay crazy prices for these. If you find some of the knockoff versions on AliExpress, Alibaba or Taobao, they're going to be a lot cheaper. And I'll say this, for the male ones, it's okay. The joints overall are okay. If you're just looking to customize something, it's a good one to use. For the female stuff, because they're so skinny, the joints are very fragile and are often just the clutches all over the place, just often very loose, and I don't recommend them. So males are okay. Females, you're taking a huge risk. You're better off trying to find the original ones. For the Legend Rider series stuff, I don't think I've done any videos on them on this channel. Basically, they're just soft vinyl figures, a little bit taller than this originally, and all they can do is turn their hips and move their arms. And sometimes they might have some arm extra movements here or there, but overall they're basically just a hollow soft plastic. I guess it's just really cheap for them to do, but a lot of the times that you can see here, there's a lot of molded details on these things. For some of the older ones, they do have a lot of painted details. Some of the new ones, they're missing any paint details on the back, and if you get some of the new stuff, try to convert them into different things, or you want to paint them up, you're gonna have to use PS paints. According to Tamiya, the TS paints will rub off and scratch off if you use them. Sometimes they come in a little hook and with just a little card. This one came in a box and a card here, so I guess this is more collector friendly in a way, if you collect them. So just giving some of the stats, like he's about 2 meters and 25 centimeters tall, and yes, Kabuki here is taller than the other riders, which is why this figure actually fits, the hero there, which is why soft vinyl figure fits really well with the SH Figuarts, because he's supposed to be bigger. On the back here, there's just some copyright stuff. On top of the box here, you can see there are also really some of the other Hibiki movie exclusive riders, so if I just happen upon them, see them, I might consider picking those soft vinyl ups. Not necessarily convert them to SH Figuarts, but just have a representation of them somewhere. And the box itself is quite nice actually, but there's no reason for me to keep the box. Well, I guess I could keep the box to house this figure when I'm done with it. For this video anyway. I'll just quickly bring in Hibiki here, and you can see with what I've done, he is slightly taller than Hibiki, and he could be a little bit taller still, but for what I have here, I'm quite happy with his height. So taking Hibiki away, I'm gonna slowly go through what I did to create this figure. So first of all, you're gonna need some like a crafting knife or anything to slice and dice. Scissors are useful too. Some clippers are also very useful. It just depends what angle you're getting in and what you're more comfortable with cutting in certain spaces. Okay, so the first thing I did was, like I said, it does have a few joints, so I removed the arms on the torso, and also removed the hip from the torso, and then I started for the head, I started cutting around the neck area. You can see he's got a collar there, which is very good in hiding my cutting, so you don't have to be too careful. So I cut the head off, and then I removed most of the neck for the helmet. And it's very cool, because these are soft plastic, it was so easy just to stick this helmet piece onto the original Bodycon head. But of course, there's a lot of space in there, so I think one of the arms, after I cut off the shoulder joints, all the joints have some sort of not exactly like this, bit bigger, just a ring of plastic, and I just set that ring inside there to push the helmet up, and it just so happened to be the exact right size, so remember to do that. So mask on helmet, and inside there also fit one of the rings that you cut off from the shoulder joints. So the joint is in there, joint pieces in there, helping push up the helmet. Otherwise, his head would just sort of push down, and it'll look really awkward, like he's got no neck at all. Whereas here, it's perfect. Now his neck, of course, is going to be smaller in proportion, but because everything's just black, you don't really notice it, and that's quite good. I do feel like his head is still a little bit lower than I like it to be, but as of right now, it fits so well on the head, I don't want to deal with it anymore. I guess you could go in and trim this collar if you want to, but you know, you just be really careful of that if you're really good at crafting. I'm not that good myself at some of this stuff, so I'm not going to bother, and I'm quite happy with how he turned out. Now for the torso, you know, pull apart the bodycon, like in the stomach area and the head, and you can also pull off the arms quite easily. There's just little ball pegs that come out. And after you've done that, it does take a while, but it is possible to push the torso up into this area. As you can see there, this body armor, there's no cutting whatsoever, so that's great. So for more advanced people, I would you could probably also recommend just cutting around this green area, so you have the chest armor. And as for the stomach area, you can probably just trim some of the side or some of the back off, so you can glue this area onto the torso, and then with the top chest piece start cutting it in and sliding it down so it's more of a triangular shape around the edge, so you can do a proper SHF torso style. I'm not good at that, so I'm not going to bother. I'm quite happy with what it is right now, and he does have some movement there, so that's quite good. Moving on to the shoulders, it was just simply cutting this. Now he does have longer bits there, like some extra bits that I just sort of trimmed away. It doesn't affect the look too much. He basically has an extra fold of some sort of fabric around there, and I just trimmed that just to make sure I have access to, you know, an elbow joint. I have considered gluing this down just so it doesn't move all over the place, but as of right now, it's kind of cool to have it like sort of just drop down and cover that joint that I've added there. So I'm just going to leave it at that for now until I get annoyed. Again, if you're a more advanced user, you can probably just cut like an N shape, like an arc there, just around the shoulders, and glue this down so that these pieces don't affect the shoulder joint, but also just there, not moving about all over the place. And you know, once you pop the arms back on, you can just slide these shoulder pieces on, and they fit just fine. Might be a little bit on the lower side, like these shoulder pads, and just push his arm up. Let's see if we can do that. Well, yeah, I can push his arms up. So the shoulder pads are sort of in the right place, but again, as of right now, I'm totally fine with how it is. So let's go. And then moving down to these pieces again, I just sort of trimmed around the green area, just slot them onto the lower arm. Now as for the hands, and you see I have some extra joints there. So what I did was I removed the original joints from the SHF itself, so I guess I have some spare SHF hand joints now. And I just happened to have a bag of joints that I bought on Taobao. They're just sort of like random figure joints. I think some of them are Figma joints or whatever. But if you don't have access to joints like these, there are other ways to get joints. So here I have a pack of frame arm girls, and you know, skin joint. These are all hand joints. You got skin color and black color. So these are very useful. For the most part, they can fit in. You might need to sand them down, trim them a little bit. They're made out of soft-ish plastic, so it's not as likely for them to become brittle and just sort of fall apart. But softish plastic might be irritating some people. But you know, for the most part, every time I have like a joint that's broken on SHF from now on, I found these recently. You can see it in my Luke Skywalker figure. I fixed his hand with one of these, so it's quite good. These do work. They just need a little bit of customization. I will say that for the most part, you can sand down the peg that goes in the arm, but for the peg that goes into the hand, it's usually a little bit too small for SHF. And so what you can do is get a little bit of multi-put or some sort of epoxy, you know, those two stuff they mix together, and just mix a little ball onto them. Now they don't stay on it, so you also need a little bit, once it's hardened, you need a little bit of super glue just to keep it in place if it pops out. But you know, after that it can work as a joint for your hands. For this project I didn't use these. There are also these packs here from Premium Parts Collection from, I don't know what company this is. Hobby Base. So Hobby Base joints. Here's one type. I think I didn't use any of these for this particular one. I used these joints for something else. Can't remember what I'd used them for. But you know, got some joints here. They can fit in like Gundam kits and model kits and whatnot. So this one is the ball-shaped joint slim. Okay, so these got these random big joints there. This is a grey color. And for this one here, I have, this is also ball-shaped joint link. Didn't use any white ones, but I used some black ones here. I used some of these big balls to plug into the hand, and I also used I've also been using some of these other joints to fix some of my broken SH Figuarts. Again, the plastic just sort of became brittle. I had to fix the hip to upper leg joints of Deno. I used some of these to fix that. They weren't perfect, but I had to do some sanding down to get them to fit in there. But eventually they worked, and now Deno is as good as new. You can't even tell the difference just by looking at him. And you got these white joints here. And for this particular one, I used some of these balls to plug into that pink joint there, and those worked out just. I guess I don't know if I'm just lucky or not, but the joints were perfect fit. Must be some like industry standard and stuff. And they actually advertised these packs to. That some of these frames are also part of the joint. You see this like Y-shaped joint? That's actually like a classic hip joint. Just put the underpants over it. You can do that. You see, like that. So that's pretty cool. You can do a lot of joints with these. So definitely pick up some of these joint packs. And you know, if you can actually pick up some Figuarts joints randomly on Taobao or AliExpress or whatever, then you can do that too. So a bunch of that. And again, once again, I'm very fortunate. The pink joint here plugged right into the arm perfectly. There was no sanding required. And on the other side, one of these balls from here plugged in perfectly onto the other end. And you see that this hand moves just fine. Now, it's obviously not the right color, you know, red that really stands out. So, you know, after I move this hand around, I'll just move this down to hopefully cover the joint. One of the other things I've considered doing is actually, you know, copying this sort of armor piece from the Hibiki figure or from this one and just gluing it onto all the other hands so I can actually have proper SH Figuarts hands. But it might make his hands look really tiny, so I'm sort of considering what to do with this. Otherwise, I would just give him some of those drumsticks. Again, just copy it from the Hibiki figure and just stick them in there and call it a day. Down at the leg joint area, I obviously cut this skirt out, and I also cut the back. You see this cape area. Now this is probably the ugliest part of this whole thing. And I also slit the sides just a little bit, just so I can have some leg movement and move it. So, you know, originally without this cut, it would have been a really tight move, and I wasn't happy with that, so I did that. For the legs itself, I did cut the top off of the plastic, and then just, you know, like sort of just wearing pants, just push them all the way up to the upper leg, so there's some texture. You see, I have some texture on the upper legs. You're not really gonna notice it, but I just pushed it right up there, and it's staying down the zone. There's no glue or anything, so I'm quite happy with that. I did cut out the knee pads of the soft figure and just glued them onto the actual knees. Again, they sort of just fit there perfectly. Just great size. So just so his knee pads don't look bare. But a lot of times I'll just tend to pull this down a little bit after posing it to make it look more natural. So you can just see a little bit of details there, some of the muscle textures there, and you know, I think it looks fine. Again, lower legs, just cut it out and then push it up there. As for the feet itself, I did, I used another joint for the feet. I used one of these. I think I used this one of these ones, and just really pushed it up there. Yep. One of these joints there. Really pushed it up there. Let me see if I can get the whole thing out. Okay, so this is how the leg joint looks like. I got one of these bigger pieces there, and then this piece, just one of these joints from the top there, plugged into it, and it fits right into the feet. So you can see here, I just push this in, and it should pop in, actual pop. And this side, I'm just again very fortunate not to do any special customization, just jam it in there, and I have this feet with you know, actual leg joints and stuff. It goes all over the place. So now I can get him. You know, he might look a little bit awkward, but because of his hands, but I can get him to stand in an action pose, sort of. Now I understand this isn't really a tutorial or anything, because I sort of just made the figure and I was like, hey, I'll film a video about it just to share some ideas and some thoughts on how easy it actually is to make one of these figures or convert them. Now for people who are more pro, they can probably go in and do more cuttings. I was thinking about cutting a little like U shape, like a little gap on the lower arm piece so I can, you know, push it further up. And just like a real SH Figuarts, you know, some of the armor is cut where the elbow joint is, so you can, you know, do the double joint bending. You can also cut the upper armor from the stomach area, or maybe even trim those little stomach silver linings and glue them individually onto the figure itself to give it even more of a SH Figuarts look. And of course there's also the hand customization. That's stuff that you can do as well if you're more skilled than me. But I'm also curious if anyone would, for example, just buy these extra joint packs, cut the figure up, and then put the joints into the figure, and then use maybe like epoxy or resin or something to fill in the insides of the soft vinyl figure, so that way you don't have to use an SH Figuarts, because and of course doing it that way might be a lot cheaper than using SH Figuarts, but of course you're gonna have to use some putty skill to fill in the inside of the figure, and that might be considerable harder. Leave a comment below if you want me to try something like that, and I'll just buy another character that's never been released as an SH Figuarts and see if I can do that. As always, I hope you guys find this video useful. Please leave a comment below what you think about the techniques used here, or how you make your own custom figures. I'm currently trying to mold and copy some of the armor packs from the free movie Kabuto riders, and I'm gonna try and glue them onto 3 extra Kabuto Figuarts figures that I've already painted to be, gold, silver, and bronze. So hopefully it doesn't take me too long to do, because I'm having some problems with the molding and copying with some of their armor stuff. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so already. As always, take care, have a nice day. I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye now.